lot can happen throughout WordPress, and using conditional statements to check when a certain action happens isn't very efficient. We would have a lot of nested code. Instead, there's something called hooks. The hooks API is a way for you to listen to an event and execute code when that event happens. An event can be anything. There are literally over 100 different hooks. There's a hook for the footer or when an admin form is submitted. There's AJAX hooks and so much more. We won't be going over all of them because it would just be too overwhelming. If you don't understand, don't worry. You'll see how it works in just a moment. We will definitely be going over some of the most commonly used ones though. In the Resources tab of this lecture, you'll find a link to the Hooks API. Let's check this out. You'll notice that there's a list for two kinds of hooks, action hooks and filter hooks. We'll be going over both of these throughout this course. Let's take a look at the list of action hooks available. Scroll around this page. You'll see all the hooks available to us. I know we haven't gone over how to use hooks yet, but just from looking at this list, do you think you can spot the hook we need in order to add scripts and styles to our theme? Most people would say WP_head, but this is incorrect. The correct hook is the one above it, which is WP_onQ_scripts. Click on it and let's take a look at this hook. This is what WordPress has to say about it. WP_onQScripts is the proper hook to use when onQing items that are meant to appear on the front end. Despite the name, it is used for onQing both scripts and styles. Just by reading that, you know it is indeed the correct hook to use when adding scripts and styles. Alright, so let's get started with using action hooks. Open up your functions file and under the hooks section, add the following code. add_action, open parentheses, apostrophe, WP_onQ_scripts, apostrophe, comma, apostrophe, JU_onQ, apostrophe, close parenthesis, semicolon. The add action function is a function that WordPress automatically creates and loads for you. You don't need to do anything to make sure it's available to you. This function has 4 parameters, but only the first 2 are required. The first parameter is the name of the hook you want to access. In our case, we want to access the WP_onQScripts hook. Make sure you input this as a string. The second parameter is the name of the function you want to call when this hook is called. The other 2 parameters we'll be discussing in another lecture. For now, we only need the first 2. Currently, we don't have this function defined, so we'll get an error. Let's fix that quickly. As I stated before, I don't like to add all my logic and code in one file. So let's create a folder called includes. Within this folder, create another folder called front. The front folder will contain any code and logic pertaining to the front end of our site. Within this folder, create a file called onq.php. Let's create the function we called from our action hook. Great, we're almost done. Now, we need to include this file. So let's go back to the functions file and under the include section, include the onQ file. I'm using the getTemplate directory function to make sure we always get the correct path to this file. This function simply returns the absolute path to the current activated theme. Just like the add action function, you do not need to do anything to make this function available to you. It is already loaded and created for you beforehand. WordPress takes care of that for you. I'll be using this function whenever we include files. If we did everything correctly, we should be able to refresh our page without any errors. Since we have no errors, that means we did everything correctly. One last thing before I wrap up this lecture. You'll notice I named my onQ function JU_onQ. I prefixed our function with some initials. It's common practice to prefix your classes and functions with the initials of your theme or name. Throughout this course, I'll be prefixing JU_ for every function. The J is for my name Jack, and the U is for the name of this theme, Udemy. We do this because we don't want to run into any naming conflicts with other plugins. In our next lecture, we'll take a look at adding styles to our pages through this hook.